And we are back with another episode of 100 Apps, 100 Hours. I'm your host, Brian Gillespie. Welcome back. I'm here for Directus, by Directus, something. I don't know. I was trying to be fancy here. Not my forte, obviously. Dad of 3 little girls. Gave up being cool a long time ago. But today we have got a cool episode for you. We are going to be tackling an internal knowledge base. I'll explain what that is in a moment, but if you're new to 100 Apps, 100 Hours, there are 2 basic rules. Number 1, we have 60 minutes to plan and build your app, your clone, your idea, whatever this is. You get no more, no less. And rule number 2, the anti-rule, the no holds barred WrestleMania action. Use whatever you have at your disposal. This is a no holds barred cage match, basically. So let's talk about internal knowledge base for a moment. When I used to run a customer success team at a previous company, there was this product called Guru that was basically an internal knowledge base. We used it for a lot of our chat support team. Also our CSMs, if they had a question, we could easily document this. And the cool thing that they did have was this Chrome extension that would basically give you access to all the knowledge base. And, the structure was very bite-sized pieces of information. And that was the whole idea behind it. So we're going to try and replicate something similar. Anytime you have something like an internal knowledge base, if it's not in everyone's face, the knowledge goes stale. If it's a pain in the butt to edit, it goes stale. So let's tackle that challenge. We're going to put 60 minutes on the clock. Let's ride. Let's wrestle. All right. So functionality for this specific app, right? And this is me probably biting off a lot more than I can actually chew in 60 minutes. But what we're going to do, we're going to build a backend for the internal knowledge base. And then we're going to build a Chrome extension to search articles, edit articles. And that's probably the extent of maybe what we'll get done in an hour. I don't even know if we'll get this done, right? But we need to kind of flesh this out further. Let's go in and map some data model. Map this out, right? So at a high level, we're going to have users of this application. So we'll have some authentication, etc. They'll be able to log in. As far as the actual knowledge itself, I like the term cards for this. Instead of articles, that's what we're going to do. And the reason why is these are bite-sized pieces of internal knowledge. I think that's a helpful paradigm. As far as the fields that we want, we're going to have a title for the card. Maybe I won't even get into like AI generated summary of this. We may use some AI stuff to like dive into this. Let's have an owner of this card, like who owns this knowledge internally. We've got the actual content of the card for sure. Maybe we got some tags for the cards as well. And then of course we have tags. Let's say there's a title for the tag and then a topic or an area. Right? I think that's a good structure for tags. Like in the case of Directus, that may be like features or frameworks or something like that. And then we'll have users. So, and a user owns a card. Tags are connected to cards in some form or fashion, shape, form, or fashion, to quote the West Virginia governor here. This is a many-to-many relationship between cards and tags. Right? A card could have multiple tags. A tag could have multiple cards, or a single tag could be applied to multiple cards. So that is the data model setup we are going to roll with. If you've watched this before, I've got like a standard Nux starter that I use for this, but on the front end, we're going to try this Chrome extension Vite starter from Mr. Fayez Ahmed. I think that's his name. Yep, Fayez. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I apologize. But let's focus on that back end first, right? We are going to zoom way in and let's create our first collection, right? Let's call this cards. And I'm going to give these a generated UUID. We'll say when the card was created, who created it, when it was updated, what's the status of the card. You know, this could be helpful if we have like cards that are draft or not approved or not verified, I would say. That should be like one of the first states that we have for this. And then we'll add a sort order, I guess. Why not? Let's see if we can find a card. So this looks like a memory card, a SIM card. It's a good icon for this. Great. I'm just going to hit Command S to save this and stay. And let's start with the title. So straight input field string. We do want to require a value for this, right? Great. We could potentially index this field if we want to inside the database. That's what that's for. Do we need to trim? We don't need this to be URL safe, so we're going to roll with that. And then what else do we have? We had some content for this. Let's go with the WYSIWYG editor. We'll have some content. For like AI heavy stuff, we might even like set this to be markdown. Basically, behind the scenes, these use the same type for the column inside the database. And what Directus is doing behind the scenes, whenever I add this field, is basically just creating a new column inside the cards table inside our Postgres database. So for now, let's go with a markdown interface just to appease our developer friends. And let's say we'll auto format the display for this. Cool, great, gravy, amazing. What else do we need, right? We want to assign ownership of this card. And, maybe we even want to have like a date verified. So let's take care of the ownership first, right? I'm going to add a many to one relationship here. So I'm going to call this the owner of this card, the related collection. Whenever you spin up a Directus instance, it gives us some system collections that are prefixes with Directus so that all of your SQL stays pure, which is nice. And then we're just going to add the Directus users collection here. So this is what the instance uses for authentication, into the studio and via the API. So we'll just piggyback on that, right? We'll assign a user to this. And for the display, cool, great. Everything looks nice. We'll display, should be an option to display the user. We could show the user in a circle. That will look great. And let's move that owner beside this. We want to show the status, date updated. So there's the status, title, owner. Maybe we want to switch that around. Basically what I'm doing here is just controlling the form for anybody using the back end of this. So let's make the title full width just to give that proper weight, proper gravitas. Here's the status. Maybe we want to update that from draft to, it's not necessarily like we're concerned about whether this is published or not. We just want it to be verified. So like internally, you want to make sure that that content is totally verified. So that's what we'll do. We'll call it verified. This is archived. Cool. We could copy these choices and just paste those into our labels. And I don't want to show as a dot. I just want to show each actual label. All right, so next, maybe we add a time field, date time. Let's do this as timestamps. We'll just follow the same convention, date verified. Cool, awesome. All right, and we'll come back to that in a moment. This is our cards collection, right? Let's call this Directus features. I'm going to assign this to me, the admin user. and here's all the amazing features of Directus. Great. REST APIs, GraphQL APIs, APIs. There we go. Insights, permissions, whatever, right? Great. There's our preview for the Markdown. If we decide to do some AI shit later, this is going to be a friendlier format for that. Great. We've got a card. Cool. We can move this around. Let's add just a hook to this using some flows to automatically populate the date verified, right? So anytime I verify a card, let's say a card is updated or created. Card is updated, created. We could be add verification stamp, right? And basically, anytime a card is created, or let's just say updated in this point, because the default should be like draft state for all of the cards. Anytime a card is updated, let's go in and let's make sure, check the status. Check status. Right, we're just going to create a condition here, and this uses the standard filter rules inside Directus. What I'm going to do is just copy our template here. We're going to adjust this a little bit. Payload.status. We'll drill in one more layer. And if the status is equal to verified, we're going to run some action after this, right? So inside flows is a great way to add simple automations to your backend. And there is flow control already built into flows. Shocker, right? But if this condition passes, we're going to take action on it. If it doesn't pass, meaning the status is not updated or it's not there, it will, follow the rejection path. So in this case, I could log something to the console. In this case, I'm just going to run a little script, get current time, right? We're going to return new date. Is that going to be 2 ISO? Is it 2 ISO string like that? New date, 2 ISO string. Is that what we're looking for? New date, 2 string, 2 ISO string. That should be what I think that's what we're looking for. So we're just going to return the current time. Great. And then I'm going to update the data. Update card. Cool. So we'll do cards. We can use the permissions from the trigger. And I'm going to say this should be $trigger.keys. The first item in that array. Not 100% sure, but date verified. And then we'll do something like this. We'll just use this mustache syntax, get underscore current time. Great. Cool. Let's see if this actually works. All right, so this is good. These are all amazing features of Directus. I'm going to verify this. I hit save. And voila. Now we can see the exact date and time that I verified this thing, December 3rd, 10:14 a.m. Amazing. Sweet, right? All right, let's go back and continue our march onto our data model here. So let's set up some tags. I'm not really concerned about when these were updated, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe we want to sort the tags, but let's find a tag. We could use the hashtag. That's what tags are for. This is a title. Cool. Title of the tag. That's required. And we'll keep updating. We don't want to change just yet, my friend. And then the topic, right? What are we going to call this? Area? Topic? I think I like topic for this. I still want to keep this string. I don't think there's a need for extra topics, but what we'll do, we'll just pick the options from a drop down, right? So in the case of Directus, this could be features of Directus. Makes sense. Frameworks like next, next, etc. Frameworks. Can we get another F1? What else is this going to be? API, API, pricing. You know, the pricing of Directus. You know, these could be infinite, and maybe that's you know, not a great one, because that could be just like a side effect. Cool. So now we have tags. We want to create this relationship between the two, and it doesn't really matter where I start here. All roads lead to the many-to-many relationship. If I'm on the cards collection, I'm going to create a new field. We're going to call it keys. Or, I'm sorry, call the key is going to be tags. I need more coffee today. The related collection is going to be tags. We don't want to allow duplicate tags. We want to show a link to this item. But what I want to do here, I'm going to open up the advanced field creation mode, and you can see what's going on behind the scenes. Directus is creating a junction collection for us. I'm going to change the names of these just for my own anxiety, I guess. So we're going to call this card tags. So these are tags on a card. The junction field, or the foreign key, is card for the card, tag for the tag. And then we're going to add this corresponding field to tags as well. We're going to call those cards. And then the sort is going to be sort. I'll just set these to delete the junction table item in case we just deselect a tag from any of these. There's no reason to keep the extra info in this junction collection. Great. We'll display some related values, and away we go, right? Now, I'm going to set like a default display template here, just in case we're using that in some of the views. We'll do the same for the tags. We'll give that a title. Maybe we want to show the actual topic. Cool. Topic. Great. Boom, 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 boom. We've got all the relationships. We've got everything configured. This is a feature tag. We don't have a tag for features. Well, we have a topic for features. What is this going to be? This is REST APIs. Cool. Directus REST API. It's awesome. Cool. All right, so there we go. Now we have some tags. We have a title. We have some content. We have the tags here. I can see all the cards within that. This is looking freaking sweet as far as the back end. Like if I want to fetch all my cards, I could just open up the Directus instance. I'll swap the admin side of this. I'll go to items cards. Here I can see all of that. And one of my favorite features of the REST API is the ability to do stuff like this, where I can say, hey, I want all the root level fields. That's what this wildcard is for. And then I also want all the fields for the tags. So you can see here, I'm actually going through the junction collection. So I probably want to go one step further and do this. So I can actually see, okay, here's my tags. Here's the tag. What's the title of the tag? What's the topic, etc. And that's not really recommended for production use, right? I would probably want to be more specific so that you don't end up with like 6 levels of recursion, because you can see the cards start to show here. Tags.topic. Cool. There we go. There's the tag. There's the title. Topic. I could go in and keep going with this. You get the idea. You get the picture. All right. Let's bring that back. So I've still got access to my Directus admin. And then we are going to fire this thing up. Is this going to go well? I do not know. So we're going to pull this up, and I'm probably better off like starting a new directory for this. CD sites. Cool. We're going to git clone. Can I page git clone v extension? Okay. CD v extension. And code dot, is that the, that's not going to open it in cursor. We're going to cheat. Is it really cheating? I don't think so. We're going to use cursor today. All right, so looks like, what do we have? We got PMPMI, kind of your standard. So we'll wait for this terminal to pop up, PMPMI. Okay, come on, come on. Core pack, do I have to enable core pack? Core pack, enable. Core pack enabler, that's what I am. User local core pack target in this. What is going on here? CD my extension, clone to local, PMPMI. What is going on here? Unexpected identifier, core pack. Is this just like a bad terminal instance? PMPMI. Yeah, wild. Okay. I guess the shell wasn't loaded yet before I fired this thing up. All right, so now we'll do PNPM dev. Never used this thing before, so it should be fun watching me sweat. What are we going to do here? Then load the extension in the browser within the extension folder. Okay, so I am using Arc. I'm going to switch over to Chrome for this. I'm going to drag this out of the way. You know what? I do like Arc. There are some frustrations with Arc. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's go to, what is it? / extensions? Extensions. We'll just manage our extensions here. Let's load an unpacked extension. You can see I've got like Vue already installed on this one. Extension, select, failed to load extension. What are my docs saying? Extension dev, I guess. Let's try the dev folder. Okay, we got V extension, cool. What is this gonna do? Can we pin to the toolbar? Tim the toolbar Taylor. Okay, cool. So now we have this cool little extension, right? Dark mode, airplane mode, VPN. I don't know what any of these settings are doing, but this looks cool. This is our little pop-up widget, right? I'm assuming somewhere in the source folder here we can find what we need for this. All right, so this is kind of structured. I've worked on Chrome extensions a little bit in the past. Let's see. We've got the pages. We got an app. So we're showing a router view, which is nice. So we can navigate between these specific things. We've got pages, index.html. We have the module. That's the specific pop-up. You know, we've got like content scripts and things like that. I'm assuming if I open up this will say hello from content script. Let's actually, for now, let's just focus on the pop-up side of things, right? I don't so much care about the settings here or the about. Where's the about page? That's the profile page, I'm assuming. Profile page. Put your own content here. Cool. All right. How are we going to get started with this thing? Let's see if we can actually just fetch a list of our articles. And we're going to take over the home page here. The first thing I'm going to do is move this script setup to the top. We'll do lang.ts, TypeScript. Great. This has already got Tailwind installed, so I'm cruising there. Let's call this we'll give this a little header action. This is articles, cards. Directus, knowledge cards. That sounds great. Knowledge cards. Okay, div, great. Yeah, we'll do flex call. Okay, I'm gonna roll with you there. Now, as far as the components, let's not over-engineer first. Okay, so now we get into like our first kind of inflection point here. We want to pnpm install the Directus SDK. Awesome. We'll put the SDK in here. We'll import. Where am I going to stick the SDK client? Util services. You know, we could call it that. Services. We will create a directus.ts file. We're going to import the REST. We're going to create Directus from the Directus SDK. Read items. Read item. Update item. I'm just going to import the whole house here, right? Create an item. Delete an item. And one of the nice things about the Directus SDK is how modular it is, right? So I only have to import the items that I actually need. And I'm just going to hard code the app URL here. That's our Directus URL, 8055. Create Directus, okay. And then we can export Directus. Do we want that to be... let's call it export so I could still, access Directus, but also let's carry this further and just get like a function, export async function, get cards, cool. Maybe we want to potentially pass like params for that. We're going to commit TypeScript no-nos here. We'll just slap any on there. And what we're going to do here, we'll say cards. We're going to, await Directus. That's not a good auto-completion cursor. All right, so we're going to say read items, knowledge cards, params. We're going to return the cards. Get card. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now it's starting to get the picture, right? This is one of the reasons why I have adopted cursor, is because once it zeroes in on like the logic for how you do some of this stuff, it is pretty good about actually taking care of it for you, right? It's not going to be knowledge cards though. And that could be solved by actually giving it, like a TypeScript definition of what our types are. Which you could potentially grab from the Directus open API spec. All right, so let's go back to the pop-up. Now we've got the service. We're going to import get cards from @services. I hope that is the actual alias for this. We're about to find out, honestly. Do we want to do cards? Why would we do cards as a reference? I don't know. Cards equals await get cards. And are we going to pass any params? Let's just get all the fields for the cards. It failed services from Directus. Yeah. I kind of figured that was going to be the case. Okay, now we've got that. Let's just go in. We've got this. We can format this a little bit. One of the first things I like to do, just to make sure I'm getting the data that I want, is just output this thing. So we'll save, refresh. Can I actually see the network requests that are occurring through this thing? Inspect. What does that do? Does that give me... Okay, so now we're here inside the... Oh, as soon as you throw the pop-up away, it disappears. Inspect. Is there a way to save this? The pop-up is going to disappear on me. So if I go to here... So wait, get cards? Are we actually finding that? Pages pop up. Services .directus.js. Is that how we should import this thing? I don't see nothing. What's happening? Maybe we should actually wrap this in try catch so we could see some errors, right? Try return cards. We'll just log the errors out. And now if we pop open the console, right? Should we see some errors happening? Console. Failed to load. This is forbidden. Forbidden. We can't access this. Why is that happening? I kind of thought this would be the case, right? So by default, whenever I create new collections, Directus does not provide any access to those collections, right? So if I look at the public access policy, I got nothing coming from that. We got 30 minutes on the clock, so for now, let's just grant full access to this. We are working locally. You know, if I was going to basically go to production with this, obviously I would implement authentication. Maybe we can circle back to that, but you know, the core functionality here is being able to update, edit, and rearrange these cards. All right, so now with those permissions populated, we save this again. Can we actually see what's going on here? Console component, setup component. I don't see. Get cards. Is there a way to actually sticky the inspection window? How do I do that? Focus page. I thought there was a way to keep this up regardless, but maybe not for the pop-up window. Settings, type error, node. Let's just try to restart. See what we got. Do we have to reload this extension every single time? Refresh? I sure hope not, but we will if we have to. Now, I don't see any. So we should be able to like console log the cards. Here's the cards, right? Should be able to see some kind of output from that. Inspect. Console. Scheduler flush view internals. It's not liking that for whatever reason, right? Maybe we want to do on mounted. Cons cards. Response. Cards.value equals response. Cards.value. Hey, okay. Yeah, it doesn't like fetching when the component is created for whatever reason. Not sure why that is, but there we go. We've got our cards. We can see the cards here. Cool. I can also do what we talked about where I can say, okay, I want to get the tag. And where I'm using the SDK, I can also do something like this where we have tags and then I can provide like an object-like structure. So within that, we have tag, and then we have the title. Let's fetch the ID of the tag and then maybe even the topic. Tags, tag. Okay, so now we can see all the info we want. That's working correctly. Let's actually render out these cards, right? So we'll do like a div v4 in cards key card.id. What are you going to come up with, cursor? Title dot description. No, there's not going to be a description, friend. Maybe we show the tags within that. So span v4 tag in card dot tags. Cool. Rest knowledge card vAPI class. Let's give them some padding. We'll add a light border, round large, rounded LG. See what that looks like. Okay. And this is actually going to be, is this going to be router link? Router link is going to be, we're missing two, a card.id. Okay, and then we're going to need pages. So what does our actual router look like, right? Okay, looks like cursor is doing its thing for me here. So the path.card.id, pages card. So we're going to create a new card page. Cool. Card.view. I probably need to import that as well. Card view. Oh, it is dynamically importing those. Okay, that's fine. We can stick with that. vbase ts setup. Move my script up to the top. And then we can like nab this card thing as well. But for now, this should solve the challenge. Okay, so now we can see the card. There's the Directus REST API. Card is looking nice. Let's go back to this. Maybe we give the title a little styling. Text large, font bold. Okay. We add a little margin to the top of this. Give it a border. Give a little padding to the top. Okay, so now we got our cards. We're probably going to want a search input as well. Search input. If I do something like this, what is cursor going to do for me? Let's input, placeholder, search. We could search our cards. Cool. And then, you know, we might even want to do something like this where we have a query and then we're going to add like a watch to this. Watch, search, new val. What are we going to do as far as the fetching? Let's actually await get cards on mounted. And what we could do on the new value, we are going to, if new value cards, we don't want to search cards that way. We could just use the Directus API for this. So let's set up the watch. Just make sure that watcher is actually working here. And I could at least do this on the Directus documentation, so we got something nice to kind of look at, right? If I change the search here, it should be updating. Watch search. It's not console logging that new value for the search. Why is that? Because I don't have a V model on the search input. Let's try this again. Console. Why is the search? Are we outputting the search? Okay, so now we can start seeing that. Great. Does this thing have something like view use already plugged in for like a debounce? I don't see that, but all right, we're not going to worry too much about the debounce right now, and we're just going to ignore this. Like, let's get to the actual card view for now. And God, I really want to change that router, that footer. We'll just drop the footer off of this. Cool. All right, so now we can see the cards. Here's the settings. Cool. Great. How much time are we cruising at? We got 22 minutes left. Let's see if we can get to actually editing these cards. So if we take some of our logic here from the actual home page, we can probably just reuse a lot of this. We could get card. Card, we don't need a search. Get card. And again, I'm not totally sure why this thing is not wanting to card.value equals response. why it's not wanting to fetch properly. You know, if we're using script setup, it should do that for us, but I digress. Let's add an H1, text to XL, border B, PB4. Cool. And does this have like tailwind typography in it? I don't know. We're just going to do div class. Text large. Oh, we can add a prose class in there just to see. And one of the main reasons I love Tailwind is just the ability to like quickly do stuff like this. All right, get card. We're going to get card. That is in the services.directus.js get card, right? Search is not defined. Why do I need search? Oh, because we're watching that value. We don't need to watch that business. All right, go to home. Let's refresh this. We go to the Directus API. Why is the ID is not defined? Okay. Yep, we need to pass the ID. So that's going to be what? Const route equals use route params.id. Are we passing that? Yep, we do have that. Cool. So now we should be getting that ID. What is the... Oh, we had to import that. Forgot I'm not working in Nuxt. Nuxt does all the fancy auto imports for us. So we refresh. There it is, Directus REST API. We can go home. We can go back to that card. Cool. All right. Let's do const is editing. Ref equals false. Does this have auto imports? I'm assuming it does because it is... let's see. Auto import. Components auto importing. Vite plugin components. We'll just import ref to be safe, right? Obviously that's already working, but let's give this some padding as well. Make this look a little nicer. And we'll add a little margin to the top of this bad boy. Okay. All right, so now we have our content. We can view this. Let's add a button to edit this thing, right? Flex items, center, gap, for, we'll just say justify between, and then we're going to add a button. Okay, we can edit this card. That's cool. The border B will move here. Cool. All right, and if we edit this, what are we going to use for the editor? View, markdown, editor. View, markdown, editor. What do we have here? What do we have? This is, again, risky business. Markdown editor in view 3. Oh, no. This is not markdown. Base editor. Where are the demos? Import. Base editor. Oh, I guess we're... This just doesn't have like some nice syntax, right? Code mirror editor. Yeah, this looks way... Is this too cumbersome for what we're looking for? I probably should have snuffed this out earlier, right? View editor, MD editor for view. This one's got 1.3 thousand stars. I don't necessarily want to like show the information. We just need like a nice editor, right? And this might be like something where we throw it back on, like not markdown, but HTML, right? View 3 markdown editor. View 3 markdown editor. Should probably just drop something like tip tap into this. Yeah, let's just go for it. Okay, so we'll pnpmi md editor v3. Here's what the usage looks like. Let's try to import all of this. This will be the content, and we're gonna clone that content. Okay, is editing, so this will be vmd editor. Is that what it is? vmodel content. And then we're gonna have a save function, async function save, await update card, which is a new one that we do not have. Update card, ID and content is editing value. Cool. I don't think there is a save function. All right, so let's wrap this div vf is editing, and we'll do a button to save. Now, is this actually going to go off? I don't know. Vite server did not start. Something bad is, you gotta actually fire up the dev server after you install the thing, Bryant. That would actually make sense. 15 minutes left. How far can we get on this internal knowledge base tool? All right, so here we go. Search cards. We're not getting the card. We're throwing an issue. Use ID. Can I use list is outdated. Where are we getting here? Update card ID equals route.params.id. Error when updating dependencies. What is the view version of this? Okay, so let's do pnpmi. I think it's view 3.5. View at latest. Hopefully that gets us the use ID composable that we're talking about. pnpm dev. Okay. Syntax error does not provide an export. All right, so that is obviously a problem. We will export update card. There's the data. Update the card. Return the card. Bada bing, bada boom. We are going to update the card with the value as well. Constant response card.value equals response. We can just console log this, and you can see cursor is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for me here. What else are we getting? Service does not provide. It does provide an update card. Export async function. Services pages card. It should provide, if we can get the card, why can't we update the card? All right, so if we hit edit, there we go. We can hit save. Card.value equals response. V equals true, shallow, false. Update card. Why is the card a... Card. Why? That doesn't look right. Unmounted card, await card, response, card.value equals response. Why was this an array to begin with, right? Extensions, reload. Okay, something is going wrong here. What are we doing wrong? The card.content get card returns the card. Read item cards.id. What is the actual response that we're getting? Inspect cards. There's the response. Card.proxy. So why is it not showing the actual card content anymore? Card.value. Oh, what is going on here, man? Do I have something else going on? I defined card way too many times. Response, get card. So we get the card. I can see the response. The response looks good to me. Right? We go here, go home. We see the response. There's the response. Content. Tags. There's the card value. Maybe we set this to content.value equals card.value.content. Card.title. What in the world is going on? Dep. Why are we loading? I'm not comprehending something here. VIF card. VIF card. We are seeing the card, cannot read VIF the card. How is the card.title this? Is what I'm struggling to understand. Cards. There's the cards. There's the card. Card.value. We can see the title right there. Card.value. Unref card. We are running out of time. What is going on here, man? Where did we go wrong? Is it when we brought in the MD editor business? All right, so this works, yeah? Or it should. Some new like quirks with Vue? What is going on? I pulled in the latest version of Vue and now we are like dying here. Dying on the vine. Card.value equals response. Is there like a weird thing that I'm not picking up? What I'm putting down here? Why does this work and that doesn't? Cards, ref. This is the exact same logic from the home. On-mounted async, we get the card, cards.value.response. Is this storing as like a... Lots of fun all the time, huh? Bump, 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 bump. Cards. Click the card. See the card. There's the card. It is an object, as it should be. Card.value equals response. I don't understand. If card has a value, do we have to specifically say the value.title? No, you shouldn't have to. Not in the template. Why do I keep getting this error? This would be a good question for AI, I assume. Why do I keep getting this as my content? You shouldn't have to do that inside the template, though. Yeah, that's what I thought. You shouldn't have to unref in the template, right? This is the case where AI, yeah. Check that response on your unmounted callback. Yeah, huge help here. Some kind of like proxy issue with Vue, I'm assuming. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Read item cards. Card equals response. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Some funky business going down. ref card.value. Yeah, there should be no need to actually. I swear if this is like a hot module reloading thing. V is ref true. What is the actual card show? So if that's the card, why do we have... this is baffling me, man. So there's my card data. If that's the value of the card, should I not be able to access the card.title? Card.content. Oh. Oh my gosh. So that is the freaking problem when I updated and saved this card. This is like the king of deep. Look. Sometimes. So I accidentally saved the value as that. We had everything going for us. I blew it all away just to goof this thing up big time. Hey, that's how we roll here on 100 apps. There was an issue with the save function that caused the problem here. So let's say we got content equals ref. That'll be nothing for now. The content.value should equal the response.content. So that's the content we're going to submit. Is editing. God, what an idiot. Boom. Explosion. There we go. This is one that I really just have to like finish this one for my own sake. Failed this mission totally because I got hung up and not actually paying attention. That is the fun of this thing, right? So here we go. We got an async function for save. Let's call it save. We're going to update the card with the content. We'll set is editing to false. Const response equals. We'll set the card.value to the response. Cool. And then let's do this where we say v if is editing, v else model. We're going to wrap that in a div. V if is editing. And then we're going to add a save button. Class P2, blue, etc. Click save equals content.value. Do we have a button? We forgot to add our edit button. And let's remove this at the top. Give this some padding. V is editing equals false. V HTML card.content. Here's our content for this card. This is amazing content. Open this back up. There's our REST API. We hit edit. This shows this freaking thing. There's our editor. Test me. I failed this mission. Great. If we hit save, what does that do? Console update card is not defined. Obviously, we didn't import that. Update card. We'll try this again. Test test, save. Of course, there it is. There's the test content. Too little, too late, friends. And that's the way it rolls on 100 apps, 100 hours. That's it for the internal knowledge base episode. Careful of how you say values, man. I never, for the life of me, thought, okay, why am I getting this? Surely there would have been an error. Boneheaded mistake. That's the way it goes. We'll see you on the